In the Hoover home, we watch, sometimes we watch some educational TV. Every once in a while, we put SpongeBob, to the side, and we watch the National Geographic Channel. And there's a great show on there called Brain Games. Anyone ever seen this show? It's really cool. They kind of show you how the mind works, and they do all kinds of different exercises. It can actually kind of, if your brain's feeling kind of sluggish, I think they give you some ways to kind of get things going and help you to learn a little bit more effectively. And a couple of weeks ago, they did this really cool experiment. And what I want us to do is to do the very same one and to really think it through, okay? So you guys game? Yeah. Everybody's good? All right. So what they did is they got some people together and they presented a scenario. And what we're going to do is, I want you to imagine that you are the conductor of a train. You're the boss. You're the one who makes all the decisions. And you're kind of going along on the tracks. Everything's going great until you learn that the bridge is out up ahead. I mean, it is gone. The tracks end there. And so if something doesn't happen really quickly, everyone's going to go over the edge and everyone in the train will die. Okay? Now, there is a way to save everyone on the train, and that is to hit the switch and go off onto another siding or track. And I know this because I watched a lot of Thomas the Tank Engine, right? So I only know about siding and stuff from Thomas. So you go off to the side, but the problem is that there are some workers there. They will not have enough time to get out of the way, and the 2 or 3 workers that are there will have to die. What do you do? And you're probably mad at me right now for even making you think about something like that. Like, how do you make a choice like that? But imagine, you're in that life and death situation. You have to make the call. You either save a lot of people, or you save just a couple. What's it going to be? Most people, I think, at the first run said, we'll feel really bad about taking out those 2 or 3 guys, but we got to save the larger number of people. Okay, so that was the first phase. And so what they did is they said, let's tweak it a little bit. Let's say that same thing happens. The bridge is out, but now the people on that side are your family. Right? It's mom, it's dad, it's your best friend, someone that you love more than anything else on this earth. How do you make the choice now? Makes it a lot harder, doesn't it? I mean, what do you do? Right? You have the opportunity to save all these people, an entire train full of people, a gigantic train with many, many souls on it, or in saving them, you have to take out people that you love most dearly in your life. Now, people who are willing in the thing, who would say, oh yeah, we'll have to, if there's a choice to be made, we'll take out the other ones. We're not quite so quick to hit the switch and go off to the side. Because there's so much more at stake now, isn't there? Now, what I want to do is I want to tweak that thing even more. Imagine what you would do if in addition to your folks and people that you love being on that side track, imagine that the train is filled with people on their way to the Pastor Fred is a Loser convention. And insert your name into that. Okay, I just put my name in there. I mean, this is anyone who gave you like swirlies in high school, anyone who ignored you or picked on you, all right, all those things. It's a train full of them, and they're the ones that are heading for doom. But you can save them if you go off to the side track, right? Not taking the switch is looking pretty good now, isn't it? It's okay. We're in church. God forgives. It's what would you do? See, God wasn't doing an experiment. This wasn't for some TV show. I believe that in eternity, and as God looked at where humanity was heading, kind of like that train, hurling towards doom, certain death for all of us, God decided, not theoretically, not hypothetically, but literally to switch tracks to save us, a group of people, right? If we're talking about humanity, we were not worth saving, correct? Humanity's track record was not a good one up to this point. When God said, all right, I'm gonna let my enemies live, we're gonna hit the track, we're gonna hit the side, we're gonna go off to this other track, and my son is gonna get taken out by their guilt, their shame, and their foolishness and sinfulness. Is gonna just run him over. And we're gonna make that the plan. Okay? It wasn't just a TV show, it was reality. God said, I'm gonna do that. That's the plan. Even though they don't care, even though they don't respond, even though they don't worship me, even though I made them and did everything for them, I love them too much. I must take out my only son whom I love. That's what God did. I believe it's what we're seeing. It's the message in Mark 14, verse 27. I know what you're saying, Pastor. We're going out of order. We've done so well. We got through all the way chapter 11, chapter 12, chapter 13, looking at this last week of Jesus' life in Mark's gospel. But I want us to see here, and we're going to kind of work our way back and pick up some of these other things that Jesus does. But I wanted us to see that everything that we've been working towards and what we've seen Jesus do and everything that we're going to see him do comes to roost here in this section. Okay, so let's look at it. It's the gospel reading from before, from verse 27. Jesus tells his disciples, you will all fall away. Zechariah, the prophet, way back, had said, this was dialed in, I will strike the shepherd and the sheep will be scattered. You will all fall away. Your heading in your English Bibles will say Jesus predicts Peter's denial or something like that. And it does. It predicts Jesus, Peter denying Jesus. But they all are going to fall away. We often, kind of wag our finger at Peter, but you know what? They all did it. And Jesus predicted that they would all leave. Jesus knew that all of his guys, the people he was going to die for, would all abandon him. And that was the plan. I mean, do you see how great that love is that God has? I mean, these are people that don't have a great track record and that are not going to do the right thing. And in his darkest hour, they're going to be gone. They're going to save their own skin. But Jesus says in verse 28, but after I have risen, I will go ahead of you into Galilee. I don't know if they even caught that part. I know I don't always catch that part. Why? Because I'm busy making fun of Peter. I'm busy going, oh, come on, man. Couldn't you tough it out? Right? Couldn't you die with your Lord? You said you would, because he says that. He goes, even if they all fall away, I won't. These guys are lightweights. I'm the real deal, Jesus. And Jesus says, really? Okay, let me tell you the truth, Peter. Today, actually tonight, before the rooster crows twice, you're going to disown me. You yourself, personally, 3 times. And that's exactly what happened. Even though he had emphatically insisted and went on that even if I must die with you, I will never disown you. And they all said the same thing. Jesus, there's no way. We've left everything to follow. We would never do that. And just as in your face as Peter was here, he was as he denied Jesus. Remember that? He starts cursing. No, I don't know the man. He doesn't just say that I don't support him. He's like, I don't even know what you're talking about. This is the one he said he would die for. And Peter leaves. They all leave. They all abandon him. Jesus is left on his own to do what he came to do, to serve, to give his life as this ransom for us. I don't know about you, but when I look at the issue of how I serve God, this one calls me on the carpet. How about you? We talk and we say and we sing that we will, be with Jesus to the end. We will be faithful and we will do these things, and we say that. But how many times do we abandon him or do we deny him on a regular? Just think of the last month. Allow yourself to go there. To those days when you got to the end of the day and you're like, wow, I didn't really pray today. You ever have one of those days? And you go, uh-oh. I'm getting ready for bed and I haven't cracked open my Bible at all. We have those days. And we can feel like a complete failure. And we look at these guys and we go, yeah, I get it, Peter. I get what you're going through. I get what you're dealing with. You want to do the right thing, but there is sin. Just cropping right up again, right, rearing its ugly head, saying, no. You're going to save your own skin. No, God wants you to hit the switch and go and serve Him, but you want to go and do your own way, even though your own way leads to destruction almost every time. But what changes? What's going to change with us? Or is it going to be week after week, beating ourselves up, looking at this? And the disciples did the same thing. I'm reminded of Peter's look when Jesus catches his eye in the courtyard. Remember that? After he denies Him 3 times? He remembers what Jesus said. And there must have been something in that look. I mean, I don't know if I could have recovered from that. But Peter does. See, what I want us to connect is I want us to see this prediction. I want to see what they did. I want us to see that. Can everybody see that? See what they did? They totally dropped the ball. They totally abandoned Him. But Jesus didn't write them off. Even in the prediction, what does He say? After I have risen, I will go ahead of you into Galilee. What? To knock you guys down and obliterate you and say, you're done. I knew you would do it. Does Jesus do that? He doesn't at all. What He's saying is, I'm going to die, but I'm going to come back to life. That will be the most amazing thing. And the mission, and even though you're going to do this, and you will, there's a reason why I want you to meet me in Galilee. Because it's still on. And it's on with a power that we have never seen before. Since God made the heavens and the earth, He's going to recreate things. He's going to take things back to where they're supposed to be. Forgiveness and acceptance, and God and man no longer being separated, right? The things that had kept us from taken away by that cross. And now even death has been defeated, because He says, I'm going to rise, and He calls it right here. And He says, I'm going to go ahead, and we're going to meet in Galilee, and we're going to get this mission thing going. He's saying, guys, you will never, ever be taken out of the play. That's astounding. Who else can say that but Jesus? And if He can say that, and if He can see that in His mind's eye, and have that kind of way of putting it all together, why are we so hesitant to serve Him? Why am I so quick to abandon Him in my daily life and live as though He doesn't exist? Why? Why? He leaves the running of His church to these guys. Have you ever thought about that? Think about it. Those of you who are supervisors and work in business, are you looking for the guys that will abandon you? It's a bad business strategy, isn't it? Right? I mean, how does that want and look like? Wanted, right? Executives, top-level executives that will, at the slightest, sign of trouble, will abandon ship and leave us in the lurch. I want those guys. If that's you, please call this number. Send your resumes to this email address. See, but I'm not him. That was kind of the want ad that Jesus put out, wasn't it? He picked guys, and they all did that. Because He's the one that brings it all together. He's the one, as He rises, that's going to bring it all together. And this will not be a thing about defeat. This will not be a thing about sin. This will be about Him making a choice to go and hit that switch and go and die for us. It's about that choice that He makes. It's about that choice that He makes. And He's asking us, okay, what choice are we going to make? Because I can keep going straight and going the way I want to go, or I can go His way. And it's going to be different. But He's out to transform me. One of the things that I've never seen before, and I've seen this passage 100 times this week, is the fact that these guys are all transformed. Now, we're uncomfortable with that because it means it's going to change me, it's going to change who I am, and I know I'm going to have a difficulty with it, but God still is out to transform us. Because isn't that what He did with every single one of these guys who all ran? They went from guys that ran to guys that did give their lives for Jesus. they actually live up to their words later on. What was the difference? Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit. And I can stand up here and say, well, you're not them, and I'm not them, and I'm not, but you know what? The same Spirit's working, and I'm every bit as apt to run as they are. And he's every bit able to change me and to change you. To change our hearts, to change our mind. It has to happen, and he has to do it. And he does. From people who would fall away to people who would serve him. From people that would hate to give of themselves to people who want to give of themselves. That's what he makes us. That's how he recreates us with his Spirit. And it's the same Spirit working then as it is today. So that kind of gets rid of my one excuse. I'm thinking, well, the Spirit isn't as active as he was back then. Because if that's true, then none of us can have faith, that none of us can believe. But he makes that miracle of faith happen. And it's not only a miracle of faith, it's a miracle of service. It's a miracle of change. Because when all is said and done, these guys were ultimately willing to die for him. In fact, history tells us they all did. They all met with grisly deaths because of their faith. How cool is that? Well, no, it doesn't mean it that way. But how God could change a man. How God could change us. And that's my challenge to me and to you. To see what the Spirit can do in us. What this gospel can do for us. As he continues to change us. So let us pray. Heavenly Father, help us to see you working in our lives. The choice that you made changed history. We went from being separated because of sin, because of death, to becoming your children, loved by you, accepted by you. And that is who we are. And so, Lord, help us to take that seriously and to serve as you have called us to serve and go where you have called us to go and do what you have called us to do. Not because we have to, but because that's who we are. Because of your great love and acceptance of us. Help us to work together as we serve the people in our lives. As we comfort the hurting, as we lift up the broken. Lord, we just ask that you would continually work in us as we do that. In your name and for your glory. In Jesus' name. Amen.